What the hell is going on with Eren? Could Eren be going insane? So what's up guys, Foxen here. Everyone is wondering why Eren just shattered Mikasa's heart. And not to mention kicked his best friend Armin's ass. Why you gotta hurt best girl Armin like that? Has Eren finally gone full villain? Or could Eren be pulling a Lelouch, which means faking all of this to make himself into the villain, and that way pushing Armin and Mikasa away from him? On the other hand, could Eren be controlled by one of his many Titans? Let me go ahead and explain what the hell is going on, along with a little Titan theory. Some of this stuff will definitely surprise you. And by the way, also definitely subscribe. This is an ongoing series, so more to come. Let me start this off by suggesting, what if Eren is not lying? Somewhere within the 4-year time skip, about 1 year before the attack on Marley you got from Eren, you saw all the friends discussing who would take Eren's attack Titan. Although Eren himself stated that he didn't want to hand it down to any of his beloved friends. More than anyone else, Eren wanted them to live. Aww. At this point, Eren was full Team Surikor. Fast forward to 1 year later, all of a sudden you got Eren calling Mikasa a fricking slave, and easily whooping Armin's ass. So what the hell happened? The one thing that is certain is that Eren has changed. Eren started off as this raging kid that justifiably wanted revenge on all giant naked men. 3 seasons and 1 basement later, Eren not only realized how special he was not, but more importantly, Eren discovered the truth. Locked away inside the basement was the truth about their world and their dire situation. Naturally, Eren had gone through a lot of development just to get to this point. However, the change I'm talking about is different. This is a change that began after Eren learned the truth about their world. The final few lines from Eren before the time skip give you a taste of Eren's changing mindset. Here, you can hear Eren's damning lines with his realization. He once believed that the ocean and past it represented hope and freedom, but unfortunately Eren forgot that he lives in this cruel world. On the other side of the ocean exists Marley and the rest of the world that want him and the rest of the Eldians dead, which leads to the sad conclusion that Eren reaches, whether killing all of these enemies would mean true freedom for them all. This is an important key for the current Eren. To be honest, perhaps they were better not even knowing, living in this so-called utopia until the end of time, or until the next time Marley raided their ass. Either way, this was a prime turning point for the change boiling within Eren. Eren started off this adventure with the goal of wiping out all Titans. It's now turned into wiping out all their enemies, which happen to be other humans, mostly non-Eldians. In the latest chapter, it may have progressed to anyone that stands in his way. With this in mind, let's go ahead and dissect Eren's recent dinner crash. Let's break this down panel by panel. For this dinner after party, you got Mikasa, Armin, and one rogue Eren. Female Eren Jr. isn't going to be too important for this analysis. It is important to keep in mind where everyone stood before this. For Armin, he just recently brought up the discussion about getting someone ready to take Eren's founding Titan. According to him, even Armin didn't understand Eren fully at this point. The whole reason Armin wanted to even meet up with Eren was to have this final talk before deciding whether they needed to take Eren's Titan powers by force. Speaking about talking, Armin at this point was still fully on board with the peace talks and the wait and see approach. Even at the point right before Eren comes in, Armin saw this Eren and young Gabby. All she could ever think about was killing, and more killing. That was the solution of all their problems, which really speaks to what Armin was against. Next up, switching table seats, you got Mikasa. Mikasa had been completely against any talks for someone eating Eren. She was still devoted and trusting him 100%. It was really only after meeting the young girl that she rescued that it seemed like Mikasa was having some doubts about Eren. Perhaps Mikasa was seeing herself in the young girl, which made her question her own actions. One key part here being the headache. Assuming what Eren revealed this chapter was true, it speaks to a lot about Mikasa beginning to question Eren. After Eren escaped, even Mikasa was not foolish enough not to question what's going on in front of her eyes. Her eyes here echo her disbelief. Fast forward to post-attack on Zachary. Briefly, Mikasa got questioned on which side she's on. She did in fact sidestep the question a bit, although no longer quick to shout her full trust about Eren. And next up, you got the main player, Eren. A few chapters ago, you saw Eren's outrage moment with Hanji. Eren was super pissed off at Hanji and the government's inability to find a new way to deal with Marley and the rest of the world going against them. On top of this, Hanji did not prevent Historia from being sacrificed, which is pretty much history repeating itself. Historia now turned into what the Race family had been doing for decades and decades. Keep in mind that this was a plan that Eren was heavily against, especially working with Zeke. Definitely keep this in mind. After that incident with Hanji, Eren chose to stay quiet in his cell when approached by anyone else. It's not crazy to assume that Eren at this point had made his mind up. I really have a feeling that Hanji could have reached some sort of understanding with Eren, but unfortunately Hanji chose to walk away instead. Really makes you wonder how Erwin would have handled the situation. And then there's actually one more player, the government. Moments ago, you just heard Zachary's position about their own plans to have someone else take Eren's Titan by force. That Eren was likely being controlled by Zeke, so he couldn't be trusted. A few moments later, Zachary got blown sky high. All hail Team Yeager. With all of this in mind, let's go ahead and go panel by panel. First off is Eren's intro scene here. Notice that cut on his hand. And personally, I gotta say that I love that gesture. At this point, it's such an obvious threat to anyone in his way. Keep in mind that Eren first did this as Hobo Eren when initializing his talk with Reiner and Marley, and you know how that turned out. What's really worth noting here is that the owl was the one who used this cut method to transform into the attack Titan. You previously saw Eren relive Grisha's memories while asleep. Could Eren have finally gotten access to Kruger's memories too, and therefore the owl's grand mission? Keep in mind that Eren had been roaming around Marley for months and months. You have seen in the past that a combination of certain locations, people, or even written text could trigger recalling these past Titan memories. Eren very likely had a couple of these triggered from Kruger's time station with Ed Marley. There's definitely more to this, but the key being Eren influenced by Eren Kruger. Next up, the family shot of everyone with their hands on the table. I thought this was pretty clear, but I've been getting questions as to why Eren told them to do this. I'm sure you've seen in TV shows or movies where cops told someone to keep their hands where they could see them. Same deal with Mr. Cop Eren here. And by the way, I do briefly want to mention Gabby here. I really get the feeling that Isayama left her here as an avatar for you, the reader. Gabby is supposed to represent us sitting into this very tense discussion between former buddies. Honestly, stuff like this makes me appreciate Isayama even more. Anyway, back into the fire, you see Armin asking about Flock. Flock beforehand did that hand quieting gesture to Hanji when she asked about the wine. Flock surely knew about this. Onyako claimed that he supposedly had no idea. The question then comes up to whether Eren was aware about this Titan wine situation. I'm going to wager that Eren didn't know and Flock didn't want Eren to know about it. The one thing going against this is that I'm sure one of the Eren cultist guys would have told them about it. So potentially you got multiple layers here. Flock knows and he doesn't want Eren to know. But then Eren does know but doesn't want Flock to think that he does know. And this could continue further, I'll just cut it right here. Next page, Eren then claims that their problems could be settled without conflict. Very likely no conflict in Paradis Island. Although I got a strong feeling there's a double meaning here from Eren. Eren obviously wants to at least test out the portion of the wall Colossal Titan power. I got a strong feeling he was referring to this. Unfortunately, Armin then cut him off. Something worth noting here are Eren's eyes. First off, it doesn't even look like Eren is looking at them when talking to Mikasa and Armin. Doesn't it seem like Eren is in some kind of trance? Even throughout this whole discussion, Eren is talking with his eyes half closed. This expression, or specifically the eye look, wasn't ever used for Eren 4 years back. I went ahead and tried searching for this expression too in the various time skip flashbacks from Eren. Even Eren from 1 year ago never showed this look. However, something matching this expression and eyes did show up a couple of times during Eren's talk with Reiner at Marley. Let me emphasize that Eren did not begin looking like this, and for now I'll just call it the Kruger mode. Eren first shifted into the Kruger mode when he was almost speaking down to Reiner, only for a moment. As soon as Willy denounced Eren as being their enemies against their peace, Eren completely shifted into Kruger mode. It was only when Reiner brought up Eren's oath promise to kill him in the worst way possible that Eren seemed to revert back briefly. Here, Eren told him to forget about it. Do notice from here on, Eren's eyes stayed more or less the same, which is the non-Kruger mode. It wasn't until his declaration to keep on moving forward that the Kruger mode look surfaced again. Anyway, back to the dinner table. You see edgy Eren playing with his chair, followed with his declaration of being free. All of this was after Armin questioning him whether he was following Zeke or Yelena. Supposedly, Eren claims that he's doing this out of his own free will. At this point, Eren did not look at either of them when he proclaimed his free will. Isn't it much easier to give a false statement when you don't have to actually face someone's face? Either way, one confirmation from Eren's side was about meeting with Yelena. Yelena was the one that set up this whole Zeke plan into action years ago. Assuming Zeke fully trusted Yelena, Yelena as an extension of Zeke must have convinced Eren to head over to Marley, one main reason being face-to-face contact with Zeke. Then you had the line about Eren being free and doing this out of his own free will. This is actually an interesting parallel with Eren's talk about free will back at Marley to Falco. His discussion about war brings up how there's something causing them to go into the abyss. That for most people, that's not by their own free will, that they're being forced by others or their environment. Eren then counters this, bringing up that there are those who intentionally push themselves into that abyss, that those individuals are able to see some other future. Whether that future is more despair or bright hopeful future is unclear. Eren himself claimed he didn't know, but only those who keep on moving forward would ultimately discover this truth. When you look at this claim and then look back at Eren now, along with his talk about being free, the major question becomes, which is Eren right now? Obviously he wants to be the one moving forward, but what about if he isn't? Or rather, if he's something like he mentioned, walking into this hellish abyss, not from his own free will, but forced by others. These other people that are pushing him being past Titan holders like Kruger. Also keep in mind that Kruger was the one that claimed the attack Titan was the one who moved towards freedom. You then see Mikasa interrupting Eren, claiming that he's being controlled. I just want you to notice here that Eren did not deny that. Eren just said that whatever he's doing is out of his own free will. Technically, allowing yourself to be used and controlled could be argued that it's out of your own free will. In the case of Eren, that could extend to his body and mind. I almost want to say that Eren's little speech here is him trying to convince himself too. As for Mikasa's line about Eren not being the kind to involve innocent lives, well, let me go ahead and remind you about Eren versus Annie's female Titan within Wall Sina. Although it wasn't entirely Eren's fault, they ended up killing a few hundred citizens in that Titan smackdown. He then got Eren quick to demand Mikasa to obey, once again with that death stare, complete with those half-closed eyes. Even more interesting is that it almost looks like there's rays of light beaming out of his pupils to the outermost part. I highly doubt Isayama did that as a coincidence. Anyway, let's keep on going. Eren confirms the fact that he did meet up with Zeke. Recall that I previously made 2 theory videos about this. One regarding Eren secretly meeting up with Zeke, and the second about Zeke's upcoming Marley betrayal. The biggest giveaway was that baseball glove that Hobo Eren had at the hospital. Zeke was definitely using his parents as a cover-up in order to meet up with Eren. Eren claims that Zeke knows much more than Marley does. In fact, Zeke or any other Titan shifter should definitely know much more than Marley. All it would really take is them getting access to the Titan memories from hundreds of years ago, instead of only the past Titan holder. So go ahead and throw out my Zeke Titan theory here. Zeke does have access to the previous Beast Titan memories, and I mean all of them. But you might be wondering why. What makes Zeke so special? Keep in mind that Zeke is an individual with royal blood, after all. Royal blood should be the key in unlocking the special DLC for Titans. In the case of Titan memories, royal blood users must get full access to all previous memories. A good example of this should be the Founding Titan. Anyway, moving forward, you then have Eren bringing up Armin being potentially influenced by the previous Colossal Titan memories. What a coincidence. Talking about this memory influence, right after mentioning how Zeke knows a ton. The key part here is how Eren talks about these memories playing an important part to what defines an individual. How Armin is being controlled by the enemy. So right here, there's multiple parts to this. First off, for Armin, notice how devastated he looks. His face just screams that he agrees with Eren. If anything, it might have been something that Armin had been considering for a while now on his own. Armin is so convinced that he keeps his mouth shut. It's not until that Mikasa starts getting roasted that Armin speaks up again. Then, regarding the claim that Armin always wanted to talk, that's always been like Armin. Or has it? In the previous arc, you saw Armin up until the last moment that seemed to be trying to reason with Bert. However, it turned out that Armin was using his little talk as a distraction to get Bert killed. Looking at their present situation, the big difference now is that they would be killing humans, and also innocent people, just like they did during their attack on Marley. Now go ahead and flip it over to Eren's side. It feels like from Eren, Isayama is trying to hint something at us, and also Eren pretty much making something pretty obvious to those two. You claim that Armin is being controlled by the past memories? How about you, Eren? You got 3 Titans total within you now. The very obvious message stream here is that the exact same is true for Eren. Eren is definitely being influenced by Kruger. Hell, he took on his name while he was within Marley. Also, how about the Founding Titan? Recall Eren biting his hand to go into Titan mode? Despite not having royal blood, Frida was definitely influencing him, even if he didn't know it. Eren even saw a piece of Frida's memories in that mirror during Season 3. Also, don't forget about Uri. Eren did a similar block with his arm in the recent WarHammer battle to protect his neck. Coincidence? I think not. As for the latest upgrade, how about the WarHammer Titan? And I know what you're thinking, has there been anything? We practically know nothing about her. Let me present to you Man Bun Eren. Is it really just a coincidence that right after getting back from Marley and eating the WarHammer Titan, you suddenly have Eren adopting the Tybur sister's hairstyle? It's really hard to say anything else for certain about the Tybur sister, since the sister wasn't developed at all. Although I do have a feeling that her mindset must have been in line with that of Willy. Specifically what Willy mentioned in that speech. One key thing being that self-hatred from himself being Eldian, hatred for his own blood and wanting the Eldians to be wiped out. Then again, Willy didn't want every different nation and race to bond together to only kill the Eldian devils on Paradise Island. So just think about it, how much of this ideology has Eren adopted himself, if any? Anyway, moving on to the reveal regarding the Ackerman clan. And I'm really only touching on this on a high level. I do plan to do a full video on the Ackermans later. Assuming Eren's claims about the Ackerman is true, keep in mind that none of this stuff has ever been recorded. This reveals something else. Another type of secret that might have been revealed by either Zeke while he was at Marley, or when Eren got access to any of the 3 Titan memories. Anything regarding the Ackermans should have been memories before the Great Titan War, so hundreds of years ago. This does confirm that either Zeke does have access to past Beast Titan memories, or that Eren got access to past Titan memories from any of the multiple Titans. Going back to my previous Royal Blood Titan theory, you saw Eren recalling some of the stuff when Mr. Reyes gave him that back massage. What do you think happens when a Royal Titan shifter like Zeke would give Eren a huge brotherly hug? I don't know if Eren got the full Titan DLC, but I'm sure that awoke Kruger or Grisha's memories. Anyway, all of this eventually led to the core message that Eren was trying to hammer down, that the Ackermans are bound by this instinct to protect Eldians since they're basically bred to protect them. In other words, Ackermans are slaves, and slaves are bad. Once again, assuming everything Eren just said was true, it still feels like a stretch to proclaim them as being slaves. I mean, how badly were they treated? What else does Eren know that he's not fully revealing? How much crap is he making up? As for Eren's now infamous moment, his talk about always hating Mikasa. The hot question right now is whether Eren was lying to crush Mikasa. Couple of things about this. First off, I do take a little bit of an issue with the translation. The original line is Mikasa, omae ga zutto kirai datta. Notice that Eren uses the word kirai, meaning dislike, not daikirai for hate. I could see the translator using hate to get the message across, especially with zutto attached. For just a second, go with a slightly different translation. Mikasa, I always didn't like you, or Mikasa, I never liked you, in the context of growing up. In English, this now doesn't seem as harsh, although now it also doesn't seem like a lie at all. Keep in mind that Eren always had issues growing up with Mikasa. You know very little about their one-year interaction after Eren saved her, but you do know that Mikasa was always trying to save Eren's ass. This then continued when they became scouts and even further past that. I think it's perfectly clear that Eren was heavily annoyed by this. It wouldn't be a stretch at all to say that Eren disliked or hated this part about Mikasa. It would really only be after the Uprising arc events that Eren would come to terms with this. On top of this, going back to the eye thing for Eren, notice the right side. Doesn't that look like there's a tear there? Is Eren tearing up because he's so pissed off at Mikasa? Or rather, he's actually showing some emotion about being hurt saying that statement out loud. I think Isayama's being very subtle here. Although, let me just be perfectly clear. This isn't at all meant to be some excuse for anyone shipping Mikasa and Eren. Regardless, I don't see Eren lying about this. This actually leads into the second part about this, which may actually explain Eren tearing up some more. Why did Eren go through all this trouble to break down Mikasa? Why not just head over to Zeke's location solo? I mean, they already have Hanji. The thing is, I do see Eren being hurt about the Ackermans being restricted, or slaves as he put it. It's very possible that Eren was trying to do all this to verify the claim. Hey, which 2 Ackermen exist that he knows? Good luck trying to do something similar to that with Levi. On the other hand, Mikasa's definitely latched onto his ass. By pushing and just pushing Mikasa, Eren was able to verify that there is this still protective programming inside Mikasa's brain. That Armin Grand Slam proved it without a doubt. Even Mikasa had no idea why her body moved. Meanwhile, Eren just closed his eyes, almost disappointed that it was true. If you actually look back to young Eren, he was always talking about hating being forced to live in this birdcage, pretty much hating not being free. How surprising similar is that to Eren's latest comments here about not being free? The only difference is that it feels like Eren is purposely being much harsher. Next up, as for the Armin beatdown. I really don't think any deep analysis is needed for Eren's remarks here. All of what he said about kicking Armin's ass was on point. Even Armin wouldn't deny it. Interestingly, Eren looks fully alive when beating up his former best buddy. There's one thing that I'll add, which may be a stretch. Is Eren perhaps wanting to push Armin to the breaking point to see how he would react in this desperate situation? It makes it perfectly crystal clear that Armin stands no chance solo against Eren. Armin's only shot of winning would be that initial nuke if they did fight. But of course, he can't afford to kill Eren. As for Armin actually pissing Eren off, Eren's original line here was more like asking, who's the slave? instead of Eren flat out denying himself being one. More important is that it seems like this is the only time you get some real Eren-like emotion out of him. Was it due to that sucker punch from Armin earlier? Did that awaken Eren to his senses, if only briefly? Unfortunately, not much change in the eye department. Although you briefly do see his eyes light up when Eren mentions his freedom to smash Mikasa. Perhaps Armin and Mikasa should have played along with this whole freedom idea, just to get more information and closer to this new Eren. Just a thought. As for Eren's next steps going forward, assuming they're still on track, they should be heading over to their hometown for the little rumbling demonstration. Ironically, Hanji did manage to clear out all the people from the district to help Eren with this little test. At the same time, it was a brilliant idea bringing Armin along. Armin is so anti-killing at this point, which means surrounding Armin with Mikasa and other people could easily restrict one of the most powerful Titans. God of Destruction my ass. Keep in mind that this whole scene further cements Eren's changing mindset, going up against Armin's more passive wait-and-see approach. And I keep on mentioning this change in Eren. It really began with his realization of the world going against him before the time skip. However, there's been this canyon forming between Armin and Eren about how to proceed forward. Recall back to when Yelena and the others landed. Eren was super uncomfortable with how little they were able to do against him. Marley actually being serious would mean severe losses for Paradis Island. No doubt about that. Years later, Armin still preached about the peace talks, while Eren didn't see anything to discuss. The world saw them as monsters in human form. What more was there to talk about? Eren definitely didn't see the world changing their minds about them. Even people they supposedly befriended were still cautious about them. It'd be like a cat capturing some mice, then trying to convince them that they won't be eaten or killed. Even Armin was forced to admit that they didn't have time on their hand. Sometime later, Eren was present when Historia ultimately agreed to sacrifice herself and keep on making royal blood babies. Basically, history was repeating itself in front of his eyes, similar to how the Reyes family handled things. At this point, Eren was heavily against this option, especially trusting Zeke. Ironically, it ultimately led to Eren going away to Marley. 1 year before Eren's Marley visit, Eren was still super buddy with all his friends. He didn't want to lose any of them, not even wanting to let any of them inherit his attack titan. 2 months after that, Yelena and Eren secretly met. On top of this, the Survey Corps and government were still only waiting and waiting. A fed-up Eren just fled over to Marley. This leads into a key turning point for Eren, which is Willy's speech. Despite disagreeing with Armin's peace talk, it seems that Eren was carefully listening in on Willy, ultimately to see what he would decide. Unfortunately, what Eren told Armin previously was proven correct by Willy. The world did see them as monsters, and now Willy was asking the world's help to wipe them all out. Willy's declaration of war ultimately forced Eren to get a head start on his attack on Marley. At this point, Eren forced the Survey Corps into action. Any possible peace talks were completely removed from the table. Next up, the second turning point for Eren, which is Sasha's death as a result of this war. With this, I'm sure that Eren realized this would only be the start. Trying to wait this out and not take action would only result in more casualties, just like Sasha. Coney brought up the question about why Eren was laughing at Potato Girl dying. To me, it looked more like Eren's laughing crying. You saw Eren do something similar when Hannes died in Season 2. Keep in mind that people handle loss differently, and this was pretty much in line with Eren pre-time skip. If only Mikasa had mentioned this to Coney when he demanded an answer. This now leads into the final key turning point for Eren, which was not only imprisoning the attack titan, but ultimately Eren finding out about Historia still going to be sacrificed by Paradis Island. Eren not only destroyed the Marley nation and port, but also forcefully took the WarHammer Titan. Not to mention they had Zeke ready. The response? Let's keep on waiting and waiting more months. And screw Historia. Or should I say keep on screwing her. I'm not saying this completely justifies Eren's current behavior, but it was years in the making. Like Eren told Falco, he wanted to keep on moving forward to see whether there was hope or despair on the other side. But unfortunately by the government he was forced to remain quiet. At this point in time, Zeke could have as little as half a year left. Both Eren and Zeke know that Marley won't wait too long, so they can't afford to keep on waiting. So back to the question regarding their little family meeting. Was Eren lying? So going based on this analysis so far, I'm leaning towards no. Eren wasn't lying. I do think that Eren perhaps was not revealing the full story. Whether that was due to his own choosing, Eren not knowing the full details. One of the things I should heavily highlight are the themes present in the talk from Eren. His talk about ignorance, about free will, about freedom, and about slaves. There's been this popular second question regarding Eren being controlled, whether being controlled by Zeke and Yelena, like Armin brought up, or Grisha, Kruger, or even the Attack Titan. I'm gonna say that I highly doubt Eren is literally being controlled by any one individual. However, I think it's guaranteed that Eren is being influenced. This goes back to the discussion about Titan memories. Let's go ahead and go deep into the influential people and memories for Eren. First off on the list is Papa Grisha. Grisha so far has been one of the largest pieces for this Attack on Titan puzzle. For Eren's current state, the biggest factor from Grisha comes from his basement nose. Grisha is then deeply tied to Eren's second influence, Mr. Kruger. For the reasons I brought up about Eren's time in Marley, especially with Eren straight out taking on the name Kruger, Eren got access to at least some of the stuff from Kruger. Right now I'm sure that Eren is set on completing Kruger's mission. Then, everyone above is ultimately tied to the Attack Titan. I don't necessarily buy the notion that the Attack Titan has his own will and could control the user. However, I will take Kruger's reveal about the Attack Titan advancing towards freedom as truth. This really gets into a side theory of mine. What if Eren inherited a deeper will from Grisha, Kruger, and even the Attack Titan? One of the main reasons is Eren being this first child to be born from a Titan shifter. At the very least, Eren should be a very special case. There's also the fact that Grisha had his mini Titan and grapes sliced off by Marley. What could have happened after Grisha ate the owl? Grisha just happened to grow some Titan-sized balls, literally. Does this mean those gold nuts belong to him, Kruger, or the Attack Titan? Or some weird combo of all of the above? Just something fun to think about. So going back to the original hot question, what is going on with Eren? Was Eren lying or being controlled by some third party? My theory is that it's none of the above. Eren himself is a special case being born from the Attack Titan father. This very likely binds him even further to the memories of the previous Attack Titan holders like Papa Grisha and especially Kruger. You actually saw Eren almost reliving the past Titan memories from both of them. You initially started off seeing Eren in a similar position as his father Grisha. Then he shifted his position to that of Kruger. Notice the hand placement. Eren even awoke in horror reliving these past memories. This shows that from Titan memories, it's almost as if the current holder experienced that reality themselves. This may or may not be connected to Eren having a closer bond to the Attack Titan. And specifically for that Attack Titan, I see this Freedom Titan playing a huge part in what took place this chapter. I still don't see Eren being controlled, but what if Eren instead had this more freed mentality? Think of it similar to what a couple of drinks does to a person. It removes those previous restrictions that the person placed on themselves, whether that person is conscious of it or not. In Eren's drink of choice, he has the Attack Titan cocktail. He's totally drunk on this freedom crusade. Any negative feelings he's been feeling towards Mikasa and Armin over the past 4 years just came rushing out, exploding like a volcano. But at the same time, I do want to believe that Eren is aware about this more chaotic path he's walking down. His little talk with Falco back at Marley highly suggests that Eren is aware about his choice. So going back to the question, is Eren being controlled? I highly doubt it. On the other hand, I think that Eren is greatly being influenced. Although to be fair, I'm sure that Eren has been equally influenced from past individuals like Erwin or Levi. Recall Levi's past talk urging Eren to make a decision, and about how no one knows about what the outcome could be. Guess what? Eren has just grown some Titan-sized balls and is advancing forward. All of that being said, one potential issue that I do see is Eren eventually being over-influenced, almost to the point of being controlled by any of the past Titan shifters. You previously saw Eren talking to himself in that mirror in jail. There's various ways you could interpret this. One likely scenario is Eren trying to keep it together. That fight line? Could Eren have been trying to channel the Attack Titan over the 2 other Titans? And especially trying to keep a level head over the past 100 Titan holders. In fact, Isayama has actually confirmed this. In a recent Q&A from earlier this year, Isayama talked about how Eren is in a state that he's now being influenced by the various memories he's retained. Isayama stated this right as when Eren took on the WarHammer Titan. The only question here is how many other memories. Isayama further mentioned was that Eren was in a state that he no longer was paying attention to how people viewed him. This was in reference to Eren growing out his hair. Then, funny thing about Eren growing out that hair, Isayama confirmed that this was not related to him going to Marley. So, do notice how Eren is now closer looking to his own Titan with age. Recall that 5-pack ab shot from the Supreme Leader Eren? He started to resemble his own Attack Titan more and more. Also, same thing for Kruger's Titan. Perhaps the bald Titan theory is correct. The second possible issue coming down the line is what's going to happen with Zeke, and I'm potentially going to have a full video on this later. Zeke claims that he wants freedom for Eldia and Eldians, although does that include Paradis Island Eldians? Eren now supposedly wants freedom for anyone and everything, including getting rid of this Titan business. Which does mean their goals are similar, but not exactly 100% in line. That's like Eren wanting to get some pizza, but Zeke specifically wants some dominoes. At the same time, Armin is over here wanting to get some pineapple pizza from fricking Little Caesars. There's a lot of room for upcoming disputes. In all, this goes back to Eren's talk with Falco. Is Eren about to reach that correct, hopeful future going down this path? Or is he about to walk them straight into hell? Keep in mind that sooner or later, Eren will have to try to collect all Titans. Will Eren become one step closer to becoming Ymir, or becoming the devil that created the Titan problem in the first place? But hey, that's just an Eren attack Titan theory. More important, let me hear from you. Question of the day. What do you think is going on with Eren? Why did Eren just smash Mikasa and beat up Armin? Is someone controlling Eren? Or is Eren trying to become the villain of this story? And what is he ultimately going to become? Ymir or the devil itself? Anyway, go ahead and give this a colossal thumbs up and subscribe. And definitely let me know what you thought about this video. Originally, it felt like 3 videos in one. I really had to separate the Mikasa, Ackerman, and Zeke stuff. Let me know if you want to see videos on those, and I'll see you guys later.